Watson. Coach, congratulations. If you'd like to start
Thanks.
with an opening statement.
Yeah, got to give our guys so much credit for the way that they approached today. I thought we had so much pop, intensity, togetherness, execution, mental focus, all that. I thought it was just from the beginning of the game, we looked dialed in. And, from the time, we got here in D.C., our practice yesterday was awesome. The energy, the enthusiasm, the execution of what we wanted to try to get done last night, our walkthrough, our energy today. We were we had our music going like we do while we were eating our pregame meal today. Like, it's just everybody had that pop and that look in their eye. And credit to these guys for the way that they showed up, because that's what got us through this game. We talked pregame about like winning every collision, and you take collisions head on, and whether it's adversity mentally or physically, winning every collision, and I thought that we did that today. So credit to these guys for the way that they approached it, and also St. Louis is a really, really tough team to play against. They present so many problems for you, Swope did. That was an incredible performance for him, and I got a lot of respect for Coach Schertz. So I know they're building something special there, and I got a lot of respect for those guys over there.
All right, thanks, Coach. We're going to open up the floor for the student athletes. Please raise your hand. We have microphones on both sides. If you want to ask a question, please let me know your name and outlet. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andy with the Loyola Phoenix. For both of you, when Drew says winning every collision, what kind of mentality goes into that? What are you playing? What's the steps to make sure you do win every collision?
I think it's not really steps. I think it's more of a mentality. It's just you got to be hungry. You got to want it. Drew says that every day. And if you don't want it and you're not hungry in this game of basketball and the type of competition that we were playing, then you're just automatically going to lose. So I think it's more of a mentality thing, just winning every collision, just being more mentally sharp and physically sharp than our opponents.
For me, I'd say we know we're going to face adversity. So just be ready to bounce back, whatever happens, whether it's good or bad, just have a next play mentality and be ready, like Coach said, to win everything.
Anyone else have questions for the student athletes? All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we're open for questions for Coach Valentine.
George Templeton from Rams Rewind. Coach Valentine, I'd just like to ask you about how this team was able to recalibrate itself after losing Justin Moore, because you lost him in the middle of the non-conference, and you had a tough time in Hawaii as a result. And I feel like your improvement from Game 1 to Game 19 has been pretty spectacular. I thought you played super in the second half of the conference season. So just discuss a little bit about how you guys changed, or how you had to change the way you played when he was out, and how you went from, it was tough that first week when you played VCU, but you're a much better team now than you were then.
Yeah. I think when you try to, from a roster construction standpoint, when you try to build your roster, I think our roster, being one of the last 6 undefeated teams in the country, starting off the season 8-0, I think that showed that we put our roster together and it was well thought out, and the way that we were playing was leading to success. And then to lose 3 guys in the span of a week right before you go and play a 3-game MTE is one of the craziest things that I've ever been a part of. Because it wasn't just overtime. It was basically JD in the South Florida game, first play of the game. We won that game still, and then San Francisco, Justin tears his ACL, and Kamani's hurt after he hurts his shin. So, when we play VCU, for example, usually you watch the film from your opponent the first time, and in that game we started Jalen Deloach and Miles Rubin together, and they played almost 20 minutes on the court with one another. And so you see we don't even do that anymore. We were playing just straight floppy. The guys were talking about it we're just a completely different team from a minutes allocation standpoint. I think when Kamani came back, we were trying to figure out what's the best way to use him. Is it, how, we were using him before more as just like a forward or, play him mostly on the ball. And then I think once we made that change to start playing him on the ball more, we were able to find success. I think the biggest part of the whole thing, though, was guys like Des and Sheldon that are our leaders. Like when we went through that stretch, they could have just quit and pouted and been like, this is my last year, and felt sorry for themselves. But they persevered, and like in Hawaii, our last game, our 5'8" walk-on Caleb Reese played 17 minutes, right? And we lost to Murray State, but we thought, like, we should have won that game if you watch it. Like, if we don't turn the ball over. Daniil Glaskoff and Safe Hendaway both played like 15-plus minutes. So I just give our guys credit for having a next man-up mentality, and our coaches did a really good job of helping us, figure out what's the best way to play.
Other questions in the back there? Right next to you.
From Rams Rewind, George Hamilton again. You mentioned J.J. Deloach, played at VCU. I've watched him a few times this year. I felt like that platoon with him and Miles Rubin has been very effective for you.
Yep.
How do you best like to use him out there? Is it sort of a 15 to 20 minute thing? Is it some nights maybe even more than that, depending on foul trouble? I thought today he battled really well against Avila.
For sure, he's a winner. I mean, from watching him, that's what JJ's about. I think, he wouldn't have made the choice to come here if he wasn't about the right things. If he was looking for promises or, we clearly don't have the most resources in the league from an NIL standpoint. So, like, he came here for the right reasons. And he's just like a joy to coach, and it's winning time. Like, he was on one in those walkthroughs that we've had the last 2 days. But to answer your question of how I like to use him, I think JJ is a really good post scorer, so we like to run a lot of post up actions and get him involved when he's in the game. And with Miles, we like to more run like ball screens to try to use him as like a roller. And but we can also use JJ because he's a really good passer. I mean, he had 3 assists, 0 turnovers today. He's a really good passer, and so he really fits our style of play because our 5 men handle the ball a lot in our offense, and we have a lot of shooters that just run around on them. So. I love coaching him. I love his dad. His dad is awesome. I love his brother. Like they've come to practice a couple times this year, and just an awesome family to be around. So I love JJ Deloach.
Right down here.
Hi, Andy with the Phoenix. So you guys played VCU early on in conference with not such a healthy roster as you just talked about. How do you think this next matchup's going to go now that you guys are fully healthy and really on like this kind of roll going?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, they're at where they're at metrically. They won the championship, all that. I think they're an at-large good team. I mean, I watched them play. I watch them play, in the league all the time, and they've got an experienced veteran group that really competes. And so we really have to match the competition level. First and foremost, like, we can't get punked out tomorrow. Like, we have to be the aggressor and win collisions. If you let Phil Russell and Bamagoy at the rim or Jack Clark or like those, if they're the aggressors, you're going to have a long night because they are so physical and fast. And aggressive with what they do from a stylistic standpoint. So that's going to be the first and foremost thing that we have to do. The second most thing is everybody talks about it on every TV broadcast is take care of the ball versus their pressure. And then if we can do those two things, if we're not like getting punked out on the offensive glass and taking care of the ball, I like our chances against any team in the country. So I believe in my guys. I have a lot of respect for Coach Odom. And what they do, like their player development, what they've been able to do, how they've gotten Jack Clark to play the way that he's playing, Max Shoga, how he's developed and grown under him, how they, had the kid that went to, what's the kid that they had that was committed that went to South Carolina that they flipped? They had him, and then to do that and probably get a better player in Phil Russell, that late in May. And, I give them a lot of credit for that and a lot of respect for what they do.
Any other questions? Danny.
Hi. I wanted to ask, it's now the third year in the A10, but your guys' first win at the A10 tournament. I wanted to ask, what it means for the program to survive and advance here in the postseason.
It's great to survive and advance, but winning one game in the A10 tournament, I'm not going to go home, or I'm not going to go back to my hotel, and I'm not going to FaceTime my wife right now and be losing my mind over it. It's a good accomplishment. I guess it's good for people to stop talking about because, I know we won a championship last year. That was more important and shows where we're at in the league. Us bouncing back and doing what we're doing in the league this year, tying for third. It shows how consistent of a program we are. Shows the culture that we have, the player development that we have, the way that Sheldon, Dez has gotten even better. First of all, whoever, I don't know if people watch Loyola basketball or watch the players in this league, but there is no effing way that Des Watson is not one of the 10 to 15 best players in this league. It's ridiculous that he didn't make it, and it's ridiculous. I mean, I guess we can have a discussion about Miles not winning Defensive Player of the Year, whatever. But Des not being one of the best 10 to 15 players in the league is just ridiculous, and whoever did not vote him needs to get their voting taken away because it's BS, total BS, and I'm glad that he showed that he's an all-league player today.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the post-game press conference for St. Louis. We're joined here by head coach Josh Schertz, Isaiah Swope, and Robbie Avila. Coach, if you could start with an opening statement, then we'll go to the student-athletes questions.
Just want to start by congratulating Loyola, Drew, their team. They deserved it. They were better for more of the game, and certainly were better down the stretch where things got close. We put ourselves in position, but they made all the plays on the glass, defensively, offensively, free throws to win it. So credit to them. Told these guys I'm incredibly proud of this group. Every journey is different. Last year's group at Indiana State was rewarding in its own way because you had this incredibly talented group. We stayed healthy, and guys were it just clicked from the beginning, and we had this incredible run and won 32 games, and it was amazing. I told the guys in there this journey was equally as rewarding, just in a completely different way because it was the opposite. We're always kind of playing from behind. Always, never had health. These guys going into middle of December, I didn't think there was a chance we would win 5 games in this league. Leaving out Illinois State, didn't think we were connected. Didn't think we were very tough. We were terrible defensively. Didn't think we were very resilient. And then to look at how far we've come, I don't know that I've ever had a team improve more from in the middle of the season to the end than this group. And I'm incredibly proud of them. It's made the journey equally as rewarding. We fought to the final horn. Sometimes it went our way, sometimes it didn't. But I never, from middle of December on, I never had to worry about how much these guys cares, how hard they were going to play, how resilient, how tough they were going to be. And like I told them, even we're down 12 second half, I had zero doubt we were going to find a way back in and win the game. And, we gave ourselves a chance, cut it to 2, had it to 3 at 63-60. We just couldn't make the plays down the stretch, but credit that to Loyola.
Questions for the student-athletes?
Isaiah, Josh was referring to the times you guys got close. You were within 3 at one point, 2 at another point. But each time you couldn't get the defensive stops you needed to have a chance to take the lead. What wasn't working today on the comebacks and then defensively on getting those stops?
I would just say the rebounding. I think that the first 2 games that we played them, we out-rebounded them, and then obviously tonight we didn't. And as they get closer to the last 4 minutes of the game, rebounds are crucial. And I think one of the plays they got it in, Edwards hit a 3. And it's just a small stuff that happened throughout the flow of the game, and it kind of crept into the last 4 minutes. So all the little stuff that we knew we would need to do to win, and we didn't. And like Coach said, credit to Loyola.
And Robbie, Loyola got to the glass a lot. They scored a lot of points inside. It looks like you guys also had trouble inside. What was it like there around the rim?
I think there were some plays that me personally I should have finished. I didn't. I had easy layups that I usually make, and I was missing those. Defensively, we didn't match their physicality. They really came out with the physicality, and we kind of took a step backwards. But like Coach Schertz and Swope said, it's credit to them. They played better than us today, and they got the win.
For both of you, I'm just wondering if you can comment as to Coach's comments on how far you guys have come. I know you don't want a silver lining to things, but do you feel the same way in terms of what you feel about the progress you made and now that you're walking away from the season?
No, yeah, definitely. Obviously, losing this game, hurts, it stings. Everybody's going to go through their own pain. But as far as growth, we've come far, far away from when we started in the summer and from when the season started on November 1st. Just guys, being resilient and wanting to get better, every day. And I think that's it's a credit to the guys on this team. The seniors really led us, and the young guys were really teachable. And so I think just a combination of those two, we were able to kind of grow a lot and that was necessary for us to be able to win. And I think it's just good to see, you know, the progress that we made and that we're going to continue to make.
Yeah, like you said, I think we looked like two totally different teams from the first half of the season to the second. And our season overall had its challenges in its own ways that I feel like we did a good job of, you know, keeping it behind us and just steadily moving forward. Like I said, nobody likes to lose, and we lost, but it is a credit to us in a sense for figuring out a way out of nothing in a sense. But like I said, appreciate the guys. Obviously, it's my last year, and this has been my hardest year, but also in a sense my most fun year. When there is a challenge, I do like to take the challenge head on, and it's been hard overall, not just for me, but overall for our team. Robbie and I are the only returners from Indiana State, so you got a whole new team coming in the transfer portal, and young guys playing with older guys. It's a tough mix, but we figured out a way, being able to compete with the top teams in the conference. Like I said, obviously we wanted to get it done in the championship and go to March, but it didn't happen. But big credit to us in the sense of figuring it out a little bit.
Any other questions right here?
Isaiah, you were saying this is your last collegiate game unless something else happens. But it looked like you were just going to not want to lose. I mean, what was how driven were you? Because you certainly took over this game for SLU for a lot of it.
I mean, I know it's my last year, so, and if we lose, our season's over unless we get another tournament. But, you know, that's just the pressure that comes with that. And even you see in our locker room, like, hard for freshmen to understand, but, you know, lucky enough for last year to just go through 2 tournaments in its own, and like I said, just losing it hurts. And when I go home, I'll still be upset about it, and as time goes on, nobody wants to lose. So that was just my mentality. Play off my instincts, play off my team, and I feel like we had plenty of chances to get back in that game and eventually win. But like I said, overall, the group, like I said, we did a good job of at least battling throughout this season overall, and I think you'll see as years to come of what will happen because of that.
Robbie, you had stops and starts of the season with the ankle injuries. Going forward for this offseason, what's important for you?
I think I learned a lot about, you know, my weaknesses this year, you know, stuff that I, you know, struggled in. You know, competition kind of shows that for you, especially when it's, you know, good competition. And so, you know, I'm going to take what I've learned from this year, you know, obviously try to, you know, rehab my body, make sure, you know, my body's taken care of and, you know, I'm strengthened so I'm not getting, you know, those injuries like that again. But kind of just going to continue to get back in the lab and work on the things that I struggled with this year. And, you know, try to just, you know, get better, you know, overall coming before you know, we start again in the summer.
All right, last question.
Robbie, just looking back now at, you know, leaving Indiana State and, you know, following Coach, you look at this as having been a good decision, a good experience for you, and how do you think you did grow as a player?
I 100% stand on, you know, what I said from the beginning, you know, following Coach Schertz and trusting him, just as in you know, him trusting me when, you know, he recruited me out of high school, you know, as the best decision of my life. I didn't need to be anywhere else. You know, I'm exactly where I need to be right now. And, you know, I obviously, I think the ultimate goal is to win championships. I think that's how we, you know, kind of base off seasons. You know, you can individually perform well. I think I did okay. You know, I definitely had, you know, good stretches, but I could definitely be better. But, you know, ultimately we didn't come in and, you know, win anything. And so I think that's like I said, the end goal. And, you know, for me to say that we had a good season or I had a good season personally, I think it would have to end in, you know, at a higher level.
So we should expect to see you back?
100%. I'll be back.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with questions for Coach.
Josh, it's funny, you look at the stats and they only had, I think, 5 second chance points, but it seems like they got some offensive rebounds at really key moments, and if they didn't score, they at least took time off the clock.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple plays. The play at 63-60, we don't get the rebound. They get the 3 there. The 66-60, they miss the front end. They get the rebound there. You you know, it wasn't, there was too many offensive rebounds, but there was also the timeliness of them when they occurred. A lot of it was early in the game, and a lot of it was late. You know, there was 4 or 5 early in like the first 6 minutes, and there was like just 3 or 4 key ones in that last stretch. You know, and the one at, you know, the key play of the game was the one at 63-60. But then again at 66-60, you know, 1-on-1, it allowed them to run another, you know, 20 seconds of time off the clock.
And then when you talk about the times you guys got close to within 2 or 3 points, was that a case where those are the times when you need to get those turnovers so you have a chance to take the lead? You never really had a chance to go back ahead.
Yeah, you know, we cut it to, I believe, 57-55, and you know, we got driven, we sunk, and they double cut, and we didn't cut with the second guy and gave up a dunk. You know, we had some chance offensively. We had a couple one-on-ones. We had a layup. We had some decent looks. I mean, we just, you know, we missed, I think, 2 or 3 front ends of a one-on-one. I mean, there was a lot of things on the offensive end that we left on the table in the down the stretch of the game that could have, you know, flipped it or made it a little closer there at the end. But it's both ends. When it comes down to the final 4 or 5 minutes of a close game, it's, you know, it's your ability to get stops, your ability to finish possessions, your ability to execute offensively and get good stuff. I thought, you know, we didn't score offensively. We struggled to get stops, and we didn't finish the possessions that we could have. And that's how the game really, from 57-55, they went back up, I think, 63-55 or something like that. Or, you know, we cut it back to 63-60, had a chance to get a stop and a rebound to come down and cut it to, you know, to cut it to 1 or tie the game, and we don't. And Edwards makes a 3 off that broken floor offensive rebound. So, you know, again, they made a lot of plays. We didn't. It was both ends. But with this team, I told them, you know, there was never until, you know, the final seconds wasn't a time I thought, you know, that the game was out. Even we're down 12, you know, with 11 minutes to go. I felt like, you know, we were fine, and we cut it to 2 immediately. And, you know, you feel like with this team, they've shown enough that we're going to find a way through at the end.
Excuse me. It's good to see your entire face today, by the way.
Thank you. I thought you're emotional after that loss.
Yeah. You guys have been kind of waiting all year for the big three to kind of come together and, you know, produce simultaneously, which they'd been doing. It seemed like the last 4 or 5 games, but today it didn't happen. It's hard to rely on one guy. Just the jobs they did on Avila and Jimerson, do you feel like it was more the defensive effort that took them out of the game a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, they did a really good job of trying to deny Gibb and to make his catches really hard, and you know, they were switching a ton, top blocking a ton, trying to keep him from getting the ball. You know, I thought Gibb did a pretty good job of like trying to leverage it and with some screening, and you know, he got a couple of clean looks. I don't know, you know, 3, 4, 5 clean looks. They just didn't go down, but they did a really good job of making those looks hard and making it hard for him to get catches. I think Rob's deal was a little bit different. I think, you know, he would probably tell you he left more on the table there, you know, with, you know, a couple plays around the rim and a couple front ends of one-on-ones that, you know, Rob could have had a 20-plus point game. They actually were guarding him in the post one-on-one, and we were, you know, thrown in there. He's got to be, and this is part of his growth. You know, we talked about, you know, everybody wants, you know, a player's progress to be linear, you know, and just, you know, and the struggle for all of us is what, you know, facilitates growth. And the areas that he struggled in that were exposed are going to, you know, Rob's high character. He's an incredible worker. He's very self-aware, very humble. He's going to get to work and correct those things and become a much better player for some of those struggles. But today, I think with Robbie, it was more, he would tell you he left some stuff on the table. Gibb, they did a great job of trying to really take him away. He made 9 threes against them the last time, 5 the first time, so he'd made 14 threes. But just like Jaden Dawson, we did a pretty good job on him, you know, but it was other guys that stepped up and made plays, and we just didn't have enough of that today. I mean, Isaiah was trying to carry a huge load, and that guy's he's a warrior. But he needed some more help.
What did you learn about building a team this year?
It's hard to tell. I think this group has done a really good job of, like our situation is such, if you were to take any team in the country and take 4 of the top 8 players off that team and say, okay, and not just take 4 of the top 8, but do it by December 1st, basically, because that's when KT stuff started, and say, hey, what's your season going to be like? Most teams wouldn't be able to function. This group, I think, it's hard for me to tell because we played most of the season with 9 guys, and then Isaiah's, can't practice because of his knee. So really, most days, you're in there with 8 guys. And I've always been a big believer that, you develop your habits, you develop your toughness, you develop your sharpness in practice, you develop your rhythm in practice. Well, when you have, 8 guys maximum, makes practicing difficult. So I've learned that, I think that depth is key. We gotta, make sure we have depth. And I don't know that anybody could have foresaw, having 4 different guys go out for 4 different reasons, but losing guys to season-ending injuries and having that many of those guys, Larry's situation. But these guys never made excuses. They never said, oh, woe is me. That's what I think Isaiah is talking about with, it being such a tough year for him. Physically he couldn't really practice. He got, he practiced once coming to the tournament. We were giving him, he'd practice once a week, trying to rest his knee. Like I said, the other guys, but they never made excuses. They competed their tails off. But I think you've got to put teams together, and part of that is you got to stay healthy. Health is a part of it. I think there's a randomness. I always say going to every season there's going to be unforeseen circumstances. And last year, the unforeseen circumstances was how quickly everything came together and how healthy we were. This year, it was, how we weren't able to stay healthy. And I think what a difference some of those guys, if you go back to Santa Clara, we played 8 guys. 4 of those 8, were guys who went out for the season with injuries or whatever. So, anyway, we got to continue to get better. We got to put better pieces together. And certainly we got to stay healthy, I think, is going to be key moving forward.
A couple more questions.
Liam Omerku, Department of Hoops. I'm curious about potential postseason play. I know you made a pretty deep run into NIT last year. If that invitation comes for NIT, the Crown, or CBI, is that something you guys would be interested in?
I think it's something that we would discuss as a team. If there was an opportunity to do something. Like I said, I think we're massaging this thing to the end. We're down. We have 9 scholarship guys, and like I said, one that's playing on a leg and a half, even though he's pretty good on a leg and a half. That would have to be a decision made by those players. We put everything in to try to win this tournament and get to the NCAA tournament. If there was postseason play that they wanted to go do, certainly, we would do it. But I know, this is a pretty beat up group that is kind of put everything they have into trying to finish this thing the right way. And so we'll see what the next couple days hold.
One last question.
It's probably not a surprise to you when Robbie says, yes, I'll definitely be back. But it's got to make you feel good when he says, yes, I'm definitely coming back.
Yeah, of course. We want all the guys to feel that way. But yeah, Rob's. I never worry about him. He's unique. He's as unique as Gibson in terms of the character, the loyalty, what matters to him. The things that really drive him are just different than the things that drive a lot of people these days. He doesn't make anybody else wrong and Rob right, but he's just not a guy who's going out and going to just chase money. He doesn't care about relationships, doesn't care about situations. I think he understands. We're going to be very committed to him moving forward. And in terms of, what we can do in the space in terms of the NIL. But, he's a guy that certainly coming in last year or this year could, if he wanted to go chase the highest bidder, he could do that. But he's not wired that way, just like Gibbs not wired that way. And honestly, Swope's not wired that way. And those guys are getting more and more rare in today's world. But when you have a team where those guys are the foundation of it, that really bodes well for your chance to have success. Because when you got guys that are about the right stuff, it makes the locker room about the right stuff. And I told them in there, them to come together as quickly as this team was put together. And I didn't think we were a true team for a while, but that group in there was devastated. They really care for each other. They care about winning. They care about playing the right way. They care about, SLU, the program, et cetera. And they've laid some great seeds that will bloom. And, and when those seeds bloom, that group will be the one that planted those. And so certainly looking forward to the bloom. But these guys laid some incredible seeds here in year one, and I'm appreciative of all of them.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you, guys.